Saturday and you're tuned into Hope Channel Kenya, then be sure that you're watching The Identity. I'm your host, Samuel Mangi, and I will encourage you that you interact with us on our social media platforms. On Facebook is Hope Channel Kenya. On Twitter is @Hope_Kenya. You can also follow me on my Facebook page, is Samuel Mangi, and on Twitter is @Sami Mangi. Now, today I'm blessed to have very good-looking people on set. From my far left, it's Boniface Agimi. Please say hi to a viewer.
Hi everyone.
And next to him is a lady, lovely. She's called Janet Agasa.
Hi.
Karibu sana. And next to her is, of course, Milimja from the last show. It's called HT, Hamantambo.
What's up?
Now, today you're going to talk about school life. Before we start it, my director, Nixon, was telling me that I look like a high school boy. I'm not sure, I just believe I'm smart enough. I hope so, Amma. But one thing I have to say, Boniface, you look like a principal.
Thank you.
You look like a principal. You look like a going to give a... Janet, niseme ukweli unakaa nani?
Sema.
Niseme tu.
Sema.
Niseme? Unakaa ka secretary.
Secretary of Principal.
Secretary of Principal.
Sipoa.
Ni poa. It's alright. Sawa. Unakaa ka head boy mbaya. Ndio tukue saa tuko even.
I wish ningekuwa head boy shule.
Tutaongelea baadaye. And today we're going to talk about school life. Please feel free interact with us on our social media pages. Feel free if you have questions, comments, interact with us. Now, school life. I'm sure we all went through school, isn't it?
Yes.
So we all have our different experiences. How was school life to you before we go further?
I loved primary school. I hated high school. I loved campus.
Somebody told me it is a very strong
It's
one.
a very strong one.
So why did you... Okay, so continue to triangulate.
Yes. It was my first time to be on boarding school when I went to high school, and I wasn't used to that life.
You mean boarding school, Amma?
Yeah, boarding school. I was in a boarding school in high school, and I wasn't used to it. We were being bullied. This was when bullying was still happening, and the food was not enough, and I didn't know how to spend my money properly. So I would run out of pocket money like in the third week. Then I whistle. There's something called whistling. Yes. But I learned. But I enjoyed school. I think I formed
enjoyed
solid.
as much as you hated it.
Yes, I enjoyed as much as I hated it. I formed solid friendships, and yeah, it was nice.
That is nice. Janet, our secretary, just saying. How was high school? How was school life for you?
School life. I loved the naughtiness.
Where?
Everywhere. As students, you're naughty. Like
No, not we. You are naughty.
Yeah, don't speak for yourself.
Speak for.
maybe in my school we were all naughty. So it was a group of naughty people in one school. And sometimes the books were boring, but you just had to read. So yeah, but the experience was good.
Our principal, Mwalimu Mkuu. How was school life for you?
School life was... Let me start from lower primary. I used to be a very naughty kid. So mischievous.
You see, we were all naughty.
And
Just the two.
Probably you.
Just the two.
No, probably you two were naughty too.
Wait, in class?
That's 1, 2, 3.
1 to 3 una sneak out.
Yeah, I used to sneak.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. I was this
Ulianza
very
mapema.
naughty kid, and I remember there's a day I slapped some standard 7.
Class 1 to 3.
I was Islamic then, but then going to high school, I changed. I was baptized in Form 2, and then I became a leader, and I changed a lot, and. My experience in high school was a transformation. I can say that, and coming to campus also. So basically, my school life has been a transformation. The guys who saw me in Form 1 cannot believe that I'm the person sitting here today.
Writer.
And it's a transformation, quite a transformation, I can tell you.
We thank the Lord for high school for you.
Yes.
Yeah.
I will not say about HT hating high school. I will
But
not say
then we
about
went to the same school.
We were in the same
You're
school.
in the same
but-
school.
Yeah.
It's very interesting.
He hated, I loved.
You loved high school, and for
Yeah.
me,
And I loved it in Form 4.
Form 4 only.
Yeah. And part of Form 3.
Juu ulikuwa ulianza kubuli nawe pia.
I miss gonna bully watu.
Eh?
I was a nice guy. Look at me, I can't bully anyone.
And then for me, school was school. Yeah, let's just say I'm the son who was a teacher's pet. I put that in quotes. If I was pet kind of chapa killer time, that is the pet I mean. But then I was not that bad. Yes, I believe we
But
were
you
all
were
naughty.
bad.
I was not bad. I was naughty and mischievous, but then not that much.
Three naughty people. 1, 2, 3.
So I'm like the only one.
Who
Probably
hated
you-
high school. Anyway, I believe as much as we had these good experiences in high school, there are some things that we learned about our school life. I believe that some of us are equal in campus still. I believe that there's some things that we learned, and we're still learning about school that is caught to us, and even neglect is something that will be detrimental to us. Maybe we can start with you, HT. What are some of the things that you learned about school life before?
One thing that I learned, especially in primary school, and which I think was not a good thing, was okay, it sounds cliche, but peer pressure. I think there are a lot of decisions that I made which, looking back now, I did not make them because that's what was the right thing to do, but that is what my friends were doing. But I also learned a few good things, because after giving into the peer pressure, at some point in high school, I discovered that I am my own person and my decisions are going to affect me. So I learned, initially I gave into peer pressure and I found myself, following the crowd. But when I finally found my feet, I discovered that I can actually think for myself and make serious decisions.
In my high school kuna kitu tulikuwa tunasema, vile ulitoka nyumbani,
Ukuja peke yako.
ulikuja nani? Peke yako, probably na mzazi. Na ukitoka unatoka aje?
Solo.
Very true.
What are some of these lessons that are vital that you cannot afford to neglect?
In school, I got to learn the art of responsibility. Yeah, and also the art of being independent and doing everything by yourself. Because I was mostly in boarding school as from class 6, so yeah, responsibility, independence, and okay, that's all I can say for now.
I'm forced to ask this. Were you
Okay.
by any chance a cop?
Also-
Kwa mzazi anatuacha a prefect.
Umesikia?
Yes.
I was a prefect
Because
all
vitu
through.
tunasema ati responsibility, watu wengine kwa learn vitu zingine sijasema vya kukula, lakini were you a prefect
Yes, I was.
All through.
all through? Hey, okay.
I'm telling you.
Ulikuwa piri by the way.
But I was class rep in campus.
The thing I learned, especially in high school, is to be my own person. You know, when you come from primary school, you're new, and there's still something childish about you. So happened that in Form 1 we were hardened, and we became men after Form 4. And
Are you saying that is after bullying?
I cannot call it. There was bullying.
But it wasn't as bad as ours.
There was bullying.
Just saying.
But I appreciate that there were Form 4s, there were prefects who led us the right way, especially in church. And something else that I learned is leadership. You know, as I said, in primary school, I wasn't the best kid. I used to be very naughty, but in high school...
You were the slapper. Yes, to make it clear.
Yeah, in high school, I somewhat changed, and I was given charge over class, and even at church. And I then learned to be a leader. And I believe these skills that I gained, I use even today.
There's something that I'm getting. Okay, for me, school was school, and I'm happy that it made me who I am, and I'm grateful. But then there's something that I'm learning from what you're saying is that we cannot afford to neglect the role that school plays in our lives.
For sure.
But then there are some people who there are some friends of ours who will say, well, I can afford to be lazy in high school. After all, it will not determine my pay slips, indio. But then I can afford to be lazy, do mischievous things. Now, I'm asking, why should we be cautious about what we do, or rather, what school life can do in our lives? HD.
You know, it's true, you can become wealthy without grades. A lot of people have done it. But there is something more important than just those grades. It's the discipline of, you know, training your mind to focus on doing something. Because you see, you cannot have your cake and eat it your whole life. If you want to, you know, sort of just pass by through school, just doing your own things and having fun, it will reach a point in life, even at the workplace, those deficiencies will show. And if you're not competent, if you're not hardworking, if you do not have the concentration to focus your mind to fulfilling a task, then you'll not go very far, regardless of how much of an entrepreneur you are. So the discipline and the, you know, self-discipline that comes from studies, it's more important than just even the grades that you're getting. It's something that carries you throughout your whole life.
I don't know why I'm still, as a student, since I was called a student here, I don't know why I'm still reluctant to clearly understand this whole concept. Because, okay, fine, I can decide, you know what, I'm going to chill out. I'm not going to take school as, I'm going to take school as school. Sindio, you saw me repeated. Yeah, so nimepita my principal. Why? As in, so what more? Okay, school. What more apart from learning?
Apart from learning.
Yes, apart from classwork and everything. I can be good at classwork. So what else? What else does school do to? What else does school have a role to play in my life that I can pay that much attention? Then say, okay, si vitabu peke.
Yeah. Education, as it's designed, at least, is supposed to make somebody a wholesome person. That you are good at class, but also good at maybe sports or at writing, like I am. And so education is not just classwork. And the system we have sadly does not insist on the things apart from books, you see, and we should think outside of books. But true education should, should modify and edify our spiritual, physical, and mental, forms of us. So true education should is not just books.
True education is not just books.
Yeah.
But then if it's not just books, then what is education?
They say,
Janet.
They say all work without play makes Jack a dull boy.
Thank Lord.
Of course. Of course, we have a week, 7 days in a week. You can't read from Monday to Monday. You can't read from morning to evening, of course. You have to relax and rejuvenate your mind. You have to exercise to get energy. You have to, do what gives you energy. Maybe it may be music, it may be games. If I open, let's say I'm reading mathematics. Okay, maybe that's what is interested. I'm interested in. Yeah.
Reading mathematics, tenderly.
There are people who read mathematics.
Oui.
And the formulas just okay.
Engineering school.
Yeah. You don't calculate,
Buddha.
as in you can just read and
Hapo tricky. Hapo tricky. Anyway, continue.
you can't do all that without getting rejuvenated because you use a lot of energy and you get tired, you strain, as in, and you need to get back the energy. And you need the exercise part, the sleep part, the co-curricular activities. So it's not just books.
What I'm getting from what you're saying is that education, just to recall what Sakine said, education incorporates books, the social aspect, the co-curricular aspect, and the spiritual aspect, isn't it?
Yes.
But then we have probably fallen victim of focusing on one and leaving the other. HT.
I think it it has something to do with our education system. You know, it's a system that is designed to eliminate at KCP level. If you don't get a certain mark, you're eliminated. Sure. KCSE, you're eliminated. It's not any better in campus. And because, you know, passing and, you know, succeeding in academics has been glorified in this country. We are the only country in the world where results are read on national TV. There is no other country. In other countries, you go get your results, you go home.
Noticeable data.
So because of that pressure, a lot of people have believed that, you know, you need to spend, even your parents sometimes they'll tell you, yes, engage in co-curricular activities, but focus on your books. Like, there is so much emphasis on books. And you see, not everyone is gifted the same way. Some people are not gifted in books. Some people maybe are gifted in art. Some people are gifted in music. Some people are gifted in hands-on technical things. So it has something to do with, you know, the fact that if you do not study and pass exams, you're not going to be eliminated.
What I'm getting from you is that our system, the 844 that is,
yes,
it is exam based.
Sure.
Not skill based.
Not skill based.
Is that it, Janet?
Okay, it's some percentage.
At some percentage, it's true.
Yeah.
Principle.
Very true.
Very true.
Very true.
How is that?
Very strong sentiments. Very strong sentiments coming from.
The shortcoming of this 844 system is that we dwell so much on you know, being book smart, and just the other day there's a lecturer in our class who was complaining that we just learn and we go out without any skill. That yes, I have my degree, I have my master's, but when I go out there,
to be specific.
Yeah, when I go out there, I don't have any skill. And you know, and the problem with this 844 system is that it focuses so much on exam, like you cram something and you put the same in the exams, but not really gaining something out of it, you know, and that's the shortcoming. And also we don't insist on talent. We don't insist on vocational training.
There's a parent watching back at home and anasema, vijana, it is 844 that has made me to become A, B, C. Do you think we can afford, as Herman said last week, to throw away the baby and the what?
Bathwater.
And the bathwater. Do you think we can afford to do that? About 844? Because I don't know if it's just me, I'm feeling like 844 ikona shida. That's what I'm getting. Can we afford to do that?
Actually, the current education minister, we are told that he had spearheaded some reforms to actually change the education system, which has a completely different approach from 844. So I guess what you're talking about, we are not making things up. This is actually a problem that has been identified at the highest levels of government.
Janet, let me kind of give it another angle. Is it the 844 shida, or the individual shida, or the school shida?
I think everything has a problem.
Everything has a pothole.
Yes, let's say from the 8, that's 8 years of primary. We did 5 subjects, which are basic subjects.
There's some schools which do up to 12.
Okay, is only added, like French, music, maybe to nurture talent. But I think and believe that they should have a system where once you know what you want, you learn towards your goal. Let's say someone is interested in medicine. What is the point of doing
Kiswahili?
You need to communicate.
I don't like
What
Swahili.
is the point of doing agriculture, or what is the point of doing
compute? Okay,
computer is necessary. But there are some subjects we are forced to do, which don't even help us. Like
Kiswahili.
So okay. Let's say
H2, you
someone.
have a problem with Kiswahili.
No, Kiswahili has a problem with me.
Eh? Janet, please, you say?
Okay. Let's say for someone to do engineering, you have to have the basic knowledge of physics. But there's this course, like the course I'm doing, geospatial engineering.
Ish.
That's basically geography. But in my class, we have students who didn't do geography in high school. And they really have to like catch up with the geographical aspect. So I wonder, how did the system choose them to do geospatial engineering, yet they don't have any basic knowledge of geography?
Let's look at it. I want to give a quick statistics. I might look like I'm objecting, but hey, it's a discussion. We're trying to get a solution to this.
Sure, yeah.
Statistics shows most of the people who have these jobs probably not learn about the jobs. Or probably, okay, even let me ask you this. H2 ulikuwa taka kwa nini ukiwa mkubwa?
Several things. At some point I wanted to be a pilot. At some point I wanted to be a professional football player. At some point I wanted to become an actor, a musician. Then eventually...
Which was that stood out for you?
Law, what I studied. I didn't want it like, my life is going to end if I do not study law. But I didn't mind it.
Okay.
Yeah.
What did you want to become?
I wanted to become a doctor.
A doctor. And now you're doing engineering. So give me.
I wanted to become an engineer.
What are you
I'm
pursuing
doing
now?
engineering right now. I was so passionate from high school. I did this subject known as power mechanics. It's a mechanical engineering thing.
In physics?
And
no, it's a separate subject.
It's a subject.
Yeah.
Kwani nitoka high school ni
Shule nyulienda.
To say me.
Yeah, so I am passionate. I was passionate, and I cannot do anything else.
That was high school.
Yeah.
What about primary? You wanted to become an engineer?
Primary school, I wanted to be an automobile engineer.
Hey, sawa.
My point is, most of us never knew what we wanted to become.
Yeah.
As we were young.
In fact, I decided on the course that I was going to do after we started KCSE.
After you started?
Yeah, after.
So
like in the middle of KCSE is when I decided, okay, fine, I'll just do law.
And yet there's some people who wait for the results slip to decide, okay, sawa, asa juu niko na A nitafanya education. Ama juu niko na E, ama C, ama D, lakini watu msome kwa bidii. Juu niko na grade fulani, I will do this. Now that brings us to, okay, we can blame it for 4, yes.
Yeah.
We of course it fake on issues zake.
Yeah.
We cannot clearly say hizi ndio issues zote, si ndio iko na issues. But then equally it boils down to our upbringing, isn't it?
Yeah, in fact, I wanted to mention earlier, there is something that I learned despite all the faults of 844. And one thing, especially I learned in my course, what I studied in campus, I studied law. And one important thing that I learned that is going to be useful for me for my whole life is being precise, being analytical, and being very critical in evaluating and reviewing information. So right now, in as much as I studied law, I'm teaching myself a few other things. I'm teaching myself things to do with software development and music. So it is possible to still find something good out of 844. And the number of people out here who have, done very well in life, who went through 844, are proof of that. But the point is, there's still a problem with the system. It favors the few. It favors the elite.
My director is quickly telling us to go for a break, but as you said, school and education, like those are two different entities.
For sure.
And they have to be looked at a different aspect.
For sure, yeah.
We will be talking about that after this break. As we go for the break, please enjoy this talent segment that we've prepared for you. And of course, if you have any questions or comments, don't forget to use our Facebook and Twitter handles. Stay tuned.
dhambi inatutawala, lakini Mola katuhurumia, katukabidhi na mwana wake. Si wanadamu tunaisha matatizo, ni dhambi inatutawala, lakini Mola katuhurumia, katukabidhi na mwana wake. Upendo aloonyesha msalabani, kutufilia sisi wanadamu tupate kuokolewa. Upendo aloonyesha msalabani, kutufilia sisi wanadamu tupate kuokolewa. Mikononi mwake Bwana, tuandamane sote safarini, ili akija mara ya pili tupae twende nyumbani. Tukabidhi mikononi mwake Bwana, tuandamane sote safarini, ili akija mara ya pili tupae twende nyumbani. Upendo aloonyesha msalabani, kutufilia sisi wanadamu tupate kuokolewa. Upendo aloonyesha msalabani, kutufilia sisi wanadamu tupate kuokolewa. Shangilia, shangilia, tumempata Mwokozi anayetupenda. Tumwimbie, tumwabudu, yeye anatupenda. Tumwimbie, tumwabudu, yeye anatupenda. Shangilia, shangilia, tumempata Mwokozi anayetupenda. Tumwimbie, tumwabudu, yeye anatupenda. Tumwimbie, tumwabudu, yeye anatupenda. Upendo aloonyesha msalabani, kutufilia sisi wanadamu tupate kuokolewa. Upendo aloonyesha msalabani, kutufilia sisi wanadamu tupate kuokolewa.
School and education have played a huge part. Some of us have come out of the 844 probably saying, 844 ni mbaya, 844 ni nzuri and all that. But then, hey, we're looking at school life in general. How is school impactful in our lives? And we are blessed to have three amazing youth from my far end, that is Sagini, Janet, and HT. Now, we are talking about school and education. We have said, okay, it's possible. Okay, it's not possible. School inaweza kuwa na shida.
Yeah.
The system itself
Yeah.
kuna shida. Okay, now let's focus on the education part.
Yeah.
What approach should we give education so that we can harness enough out of it, so that isikuwa tulienda si tulienda shule ni shule ilienda through us. Get?
Yeah.
Janet, maybe you can start us off.
Okay. Education. I think as students, we should like develop a culture of interest. Some of us are generally not interested in reading books, education, and some of us are really interested, because I have a friend, when we joined Form 1, alikuwa tu ule wa, I don't care, you know. She was even in page 7, that's like the last page in the results. But in the end, she ended up getting an A.
Oh.
So that means that maybe when she joined, maybe she didn't like the school, which made her have a negative attitude towards the education. But I think reality dawned quickly, and she realized that, you know, it's not all about the school. You can read from anywhere, so long as the interest is there. And the books are the same, whether you're in a good school or bad school, whether you're in a school where you're bullied or not. Those things, okay, do matter, but you should know why you're there. Why are you in school? Yeah.
I'm glad about that, and I'm happy to remember that we are all Adventists, isn't it? And our school, our Adventists have their own schools. We have Karura, Baraton, and all that. And these schools play a part in our lives, and especially as Adventists. Of course, there's some time back, there was this issue of going to church on Sabbath, and the court had a ruling on it. But then, how important is it? Is it for us to attend these schools?
Personally, I've never had the privilege of attending an Adventist school, and I honestly wish I did. But there's always been this question of why is it that Adventist parents are not having their children attend Adventist schools. On the other hand, parents are saying Adventist schools are expensive and all these kinds of things. But on the other hand, these guys are saying the church is saying that we take our children parents take their children to public schools because they feel like public schools perform better. I mean, why would you risk taking your son or daughter to Karura when you can have them go to Alliance, where just entering into Alliance guarantees them getting at least a B+.
Well, we are glad that Meteng is in office. There's been a reshuffling of
things have changed.
Things have changed.
I was in school sometime.
Probably again you can enlighten us about this.
About Adventist schools.
Yes.
As Harvard, just as Harmon, I have not gotten a chance to study in Adventist school.
We pray that you do.
Masters.
For masters, eh?
Yeah. AUA.
But I had a friend confess that because he went to an Adventist school and he was not Adventist, in the end, in the long run, he got convicted to join our faith. And so I think that those schools, we should encourage our children to go to those schools, and even those who are not Adventists. Yeah, because I believe there is spiritual nourishment there more than we get in any other schools. Yeah.
But again, there have been questions about the quality of education in Adventist schools. I don't know what these guys think.
Janet.
I think the quality is equally good, or maybe even better.
Amen.
I was in an Adventist school in primary. I wish I went to a high school which is Adventist. Though my school had the freedom of worship on Sabbath. Though kulikuwa na, of course, it's not 100% free, but there's freedom. But you can actually feel that if you are in an Adventist school, it could have been much better. But okay, it's advisable. I would love to have been in an Adventist school in high school, probably even in campus. So there's another problem. Not all Adventist schools have the courses that most of us want to do.
So we will pray that our campuses can integrate this course. Me personally, I had an experience to go to a system all through Adventist, except at his campus. All through. My mom my mom was very serious about education. And you know the kind of parents who cannot afford to raise the flag if they're not going to wave it high.
Yeah.
As in, I cannot be an Adventist, then not take my kid to an Adventist school. Kijana and I don't know why I had a principal. What? But I thank God for the principal, because if it's not for the teachers that I had, both in primary and in high school, my morals, what I believe in, will have not been sharpened to what I believe is concrete and what is Solely to me.
Why don't you tell us how it was in the Adventist system? Did you like it? And now that you've gone to campus, comparing the two, which do you think is...
Personally, I didn't like it.
Okay.
I loved it.
Oh.
I loved it. That's strongly because...
So a philosopher.
Because personally, I had the freedom to you know, there's somebody who said, freedom without limitation, it's horrifying.
For sure.
Freedom without limitation is horrifying. And school has its own rules, studio.
Yes.
And religion has its own set of rules.
That's right.
I was able to merge them and clearly rule out, this is the path I'm supposed to be in. And these are the values that the Adventist schools promote. I'm not saying that other schools don't have values, they do have, but then I will equally encourage you as you are unatafuta shule. If you're in primary, una shule mingi, but then I had some guys who were saying that they are not Adventist primary schools. My friend, shule ni mingi. High school, the same. Campus, mingi sana. Now, that's it. The people, I'm sure in high school, rather in our school life, there's a friend of mine, I won't say his name, probably because I'm a hapa. Ama hayuko hapa, probably is watching from home.
We are not pointing any fingers.
I'm not pointing any fingers. I say, school life is very eventful in a way that if there's one thing that he remembers, that in high school, he experienced 4 serious heartbreaks. That boils down to the question of...
Sorry. That sounds...
Are we even supposed to be having relationships in school?
Nowadays, I've been interacting. I love dealing with people in that age group. Most of my friends are in high school. And nowadays, you cannot tell them if it's right or wrong because they're doing it anyway.
So do we promote it? Because they're doing it?
You don't promote it, but...
you don't turn a blind eye equally.
Yeah, you don't turn a blind eye and pretend like it's not happening. It's happening. Yeah, they're dating. I don't think I dated in high school, but
you don't think you dated?
I don't remember. Did I?
I did not date in high school.
Say the truth.
You never dated in high school?
Say the truth.
Honestly.
But then, okay, what you're saying in high school, our young brothers and sisters should focus in studying.
Yeah. In fact, Ellen White says, there's a book I was reading, it is not safe for us to unfetter affections until sufficient age and experience renders it safe to do so. It is not safe to unfetter young affections until sufficient age and experience renders it safe to do so.
Explain.
You see, the relationships have a lot of risks. At least now I've seen, from other people's experiences, the heartbreaks that you're talking about. And the younger you are, the more likely you are to make some of these mistakes, because as you get older, you get more experience. So high school, none of my friends who were in relationships in high school are still in those relationships now. I cannot think of even one. And I had many of my friends who had girlfriends, but those relationships do not exist now. So statistically, the odds are against you if you decide to take that route. Yeah.
Jana, what do you think?
Well, I think that relationships, people should do one thing at a time. If it's time for reading and being in school, be in school and read and do what school pertains. If it's time, as he said, do not stir up something that you're not ready to. Like, be responsible for it. Relationship brings about a lot of responsibility to it. Do not stir up emotions that you're not ready to deal with them. Why would you stir up something then unakuja kulia for heartbreaks? Why?
Msiba wa kujitakia.
Exactly.
As again, I'm glad at the angle that they're putting it, and it reminds me how it felt to be a first year in campus. Okay, not live alone even in campus, in high school. Can you remember how it felt?
Yes.
The confusion.
It was just the other day. You cannot forget.
Please tell me.
I remember. We went to Haman. We went with Haman to the same school and
same high school. That is
same high school.
Same high school.
Yeah. And
tell them which high school it is.
Which high school was it? By the way, saying this high school.
It was the Lenana school.
The Lenana school.
AKA changes. Yeah.
If the memories I have about high school, my Form 1 memories. You know, right from the time I stepped into the school.
Ile gate tu vile lingevi.
Yeah, I remember everything. The way I went to the hall, this admission, and I was not wearing the right uniform, so I had to be told to wear the right way. And then later on we have some interaction with Form 4s. I tell you, it's very interesting. It was quite alive, and but Form 1s, you know, being a Form 1 is a first time experience. And a first time experience anywhere is there's a lot of confusion, you know. And it happened also that we Form 1s were confused, and we were vulnerable to a lot of deception, like Form 2s and Form 4s and Form 3s. You know, yeah. So yeah, there's a lot of confusion when you're a first timer. Yeah.
In everything, I guess.
Yeah, either in first year or
Form 1.
Janet, were you ever confused?
She doesn't look like she was. I mean, look at her.
Were you ever confused? Did you ever go through that stage?
Okay, I wouldn't say I was confused.
Told you.
But I would have wished to have a better welcoming, especially in first year. Like, be associated with people of maybe my faith, of people who have the same interests as I. Yeah, so that, you know, you stick to your morals, so that you don't end up stumbling and falling.
What you're saying is actually imminent, and I'm left to ask. Okay, this is something that has been there for the longest time. And probably our kids will go through the same thing. But then, as Sami, as Janet, as HT, as Sagini, what can you do to change that experience? Not okay. Unfortunately, I've gone through it, but then there are people who are coming after us. What can you do to change this experience so that to give you this school life experience with these people to become better?
Okay. As I think I would, like, when someone comes to somewhere, okay, to a place for the first time, there's that being familiar with things, welcoming the people. Yeah, you welcome them warmly by maybe introducing yourself by, hi, we have an Adventist family around. Or
what if that person is not Adventist?
Okay, hi, okay. There's a way you'll just create a good rapport between you and the person. And by being friendly, to at least acting as if you care about the person, you know, the person will tend to trust you. And lest you fall on the wrong hands, you know, people just come from everywhere, left, right, center, east, west, north, south.
Well, okay, yeah, go on.
Okay. Okay, believing that you'll fall in the right hands, we should like ask, like, we've gone through that. So we should train the people who are coming behind us, like after us, and encourage them, like, be their mentors somehow. Yeah,
personally, in university, I think I had one of the most welcoming experiences. I was in Kenyatta University.
All right.
The Kenyatta University. Anyway, from such I had a very warm welcoming experience. I don't know about your campuses, but I believe there is. But that also brings me down to each one of us has had an experience, that first time experience. But then there is a risk to fall on the wrong hands. Campus has beared witness to kuna wasichana watoka nyumbani kule nyumbani sitasema wapi, anakuja first year, after first sem unasikia mtu ako pregnant, ameanza kuna night club, ameanza kufanya
kuna sponsor.
Sagini.
Yeah.
What do you think? What is it?
I think it's wrong that because the first years are vulnerable, we take that opportunity, that advantage to misuse them instead of directing them. And so there's this side of you as the first year. You as the first year, find the right person who is going to direct you. And you as the second year or third year or fourth year, don't take advantage, don't misdirect, don't make somebody pregnant.
For lack of a better example.
Yeah, it isn't right. It isn't right, yeah.
But then me as a fresher, nitafanya nini nijue wewe unakaa mtriki? Where? HT. What should I be cautious about?
Okay. So what happens in schools, institutions, is a reflection of what happens in the wider society. And myself, if I would go back, there are things which I would do differently. Like when I got into first year, it's important to choose your friends. You know, when you're going to high school, assuming you're going to a boarding school, your parents will always tell you, be very careful who you hang around. And you see, in high school, people can pretend. But in campus, it's easier to tell what kind of a person someone is by just observing them for a day or two. It's very, very easy to tell. So it's important to still have this critical eye, even when you're in campus. Look and watch out. It was not too difficult for me to tell because I was in a class of more than 300, but I had very few friends in campus because now in campus you align yourself with people who share values. Yeah.
That is something that I believe our viewer is watching. We should choose our friends. Of course, yes, there are very many people who will come and they'll say, wait, Oju hapa, he or she will behave warmly. And you say, nimeangukia beshte wa maana, yani, huyu ndio ule mse, only to know that huyu mjamaa kona other ulterior motives. You can always tell. Campus has its own ways. And also in high school, if probably you are from school or probably you have a son or daughter, you probably can equally, I think that will cut across. Choosing your friends is one thing you should be very careful about, and of course, don't forget what you have been taught.
Yeah.
Your morals from childhood plays a huge part. See, don't try and come and be. It's like una trials X, maisha. Yeah. In life, there's no trials X. When you do something bad, the consequences will have to come, and itakunyorosha vibaya sana.
And then a word to our ladies, our friends, our lady friends. When you come to school and you're seeing your friends, you know, they seem to be having it better. Don't give in to the pressure of, you know, wanting to look nice or wanting to dress nicely. We've seen a lot of situations where girls, maybe they are not as privileged as some other girls who are in school, and they're coming to school and now they think that, it is now my time. I need to do something about this. And now you start doing things which you know are not what you've been taught from home. You start dressing a certain way, and before you know it, you know, you get involved in other things. So it's very important. Ladies, perhaps, I'm sorry, but I feel that perhaps sometimes they're more gullible than gentlemen. Just the way he said, don't forget where you came from and don't forget those things that you've been taught from home, because unaweza potea virahisi sana.
Virahisi sana. Now, our parents will be watching this, and I'm sure this is one of the things, I don't know if they ever discuss with us at home. How far do I go with education? How far? I'm sure kama mama ananiambia kijana Sam, PhD is the limit.
Yeah.
Probably kuna mtasema well, fika degree.
Yeah.
Alafu ingo utajisort. Sagini. How far?
How far now? There's been a deluge of stories that are saying that higher education is not paying anymore. So it's not worth also to say to invest so much in education. Now,
is it education or school?
I mean,
okay, just continue.
Now, a school should be focused. I mean, you should, if you want to gain a certain skill, that's when you go to school. So that we don't have a scenario where there are so many people, so many educated people, and there are no job opportunities. That's what's is happening. You know, there's a generation where when you're going to school, even before you finished campus, you had a job already. But my generation now, you have the best paper credentials. You have a first class and everything. And yet even getting internship,
it's difficult.
It's very hard. It's very hard. Now I think then higher education, how far should we go as higher education is concerned? I think it's a critical question, and I think it depends what you want in life.
Yeah.
You know, if you want to become a professor, then by all means become a professor.
Go for it.
But don't just be cheated that going higher will pay
guarantee.
And so it's not a guarantee, as he said. Yeah. So I think invest in higher education when you want to gain a skill. A certain skill,
not a paper.
Yeah, not a paper. No, we see so many young students from high school being told, you just do anything but to go to masters and PhD, and they think then they're going to be guaranteed of a job. I mean, now education should be something that's more personal and more focused, such that you want to become something, then you do that degree to become that something.
Sorry.
Janet, please, before HD comes in.
Before I forget, okay, fine. Go ahead.
Okay.
How far?
Okay, how far? I believe education is a very good investment, an investment which you can never go wrong about it. And I believe also that we should live one day at a time. And as you live one day at a time, we should not be lazy. We should be aggressive, knowing what you want. If you know you want to be something, be aggressive about it, work hard towards it, and you'll find out that maybe you don't even need to reach a PhD to get what you want and be satisfied with what you have and what you want and everything. So just like thinking between those lines and don't be lazy, because lazy people don't go far.
Lazy people don't go far.
So Sagini and Janet have given sort of, contrasting ideas, and I sort of want to reconcile them. There is an idea that our folks have that you must study, which sometimes is not fair, because they end up, imposing their own preferences on you. Because they say, if it was me, I would have done masters, I would have done. So that is not good.
Let me ask you a question as you continue.
Yes.
Now, if your parent wants you to have a heavy breakfast every day, will your parent be doing you wrong?
Not at all. But you see, we are comparing apples and peaches. Breakfast is something essential that you need.
So is education.
It is essential, but there is a habit where sometimes parents want to live their dreams through their children. And that is not good. You've heard the story of this gentleman who got a degree in medicine, went and gave it to their parent and said, now there is your degree, now let me go study what I want. But higher education as and of itself, I do not think there's anything wrong with it. It's just that what Boniface said, it is important for you to get this, higher degrees with something that is actually relevant. Because I saw a story being run on TV where people with master's degrees went to apply for internships at Tuskys supermarket to work as cashiers because they could not get jobs. And what were they told at the interview? You are overqualified. We do not need someone who has done masters. So you can do certain degrees. There are a lot of degrees in this country which do not have any value.
Pancake degrees.
Yeah, which you'll just have for the paper. You even have the masters for it, but it's not useful. So it's important to pick what is necessary for you. But we live in a time where you do not even need to have the degree for you to prove that you can do something. If you can pick up other skills along the way, knock yourself out.
But equally, what was our
But if the opportunity presents itself, by all means.
My sentiment as we go to the break, my director is telling me that we're running short of time is, hey, if your parent is willing to take you all the way back a PhD maranne, go for it. And if you have the zeal to go through it, and of course si tunasoma for fun na kule fia pesa mzazi, if you are studying to obtain skills to be useful in your life, go for it. There's no limit to education. Now we'll be going to our inspiration segment. Please don't go far, stay tuned there.
Thank you so much. We have acknowledged how young people have been candid and honest about their school life. It is evidently true that in school there are many challenges, and behold, those of us who've been working with us through this show, you've realized there's the idea of bullying, there's being cheeky, there's bookwork, and the change of environment. I want to advise and mention this. As you go to school, you're bound to bump into many things, but how you respond to these things solely depends on how you have been brought up and the experience you had at lower primary school. Young people are keen to identify with new friends at this age. They are going through transition period, which is very radical, but here in time, my counsel would be school is bound to shape you, especially high school is bound to shape you because there are perimeters of operation. Here you need to sober up and have a sharp mind knowing exactly what took you to school. Beside books, young men must understand that this is a process of growth. My experience has taught me that when you leave young people, especially of this age, out of school, they're bound to bump into very negative influences. So school is very good, and I'll counsel every young person to appreciate school. It doesn't mean when you're in school, you are in a prison. No, you are only in an institution that will help you shape your life socially, academically, and even spiritually. You have just heard some testify that they met Jesus in school. You realize you're making new friends apart from the friends you had at primary school. In this high school, you're bound to bump into new influences. You're bound to be bullied. This teaches you a lot of things. In school, young people, 1, you must be very focused. 2, you must develop patience. For here is where many miss the mark. In Form 2 is a delicate class where you need to have a lot of patience in that you can outgrow that stage because you're struggling with 2 things: a new environment, and equally you are metamorphosing. You are basically getting through a transition from one stage of life to another. It is for that reason we want to mention that young people at school, you need to sober up and depend on good mentors who you ought to identify. More often than not, good mentors are teachers at this level, not peers, because peers are bound to lead you astray because they have very diverse experiences, and at this point in time, they are still rediscovering themselves. So you need to identify specific mentors at this level so that you can have good direction. School life is very challenging. Here you realize you're not at home, parents are away. You must begin developing a sense of responsibility. You must learn to be responsible. You must learn to balance between dependence and interdependence, whereas you need to know how to relate with others and how equally to be independent, because at this point in time, you do things on your own, you do washing on your own. Beside just academics, I want to urge young people, when you go to high school, this very school life, you need to equally at times think out of the box. If there are any lessons that will impact you with life skills, you know, there's lessons like agriculture, home science, kindly embrace them. Because at this point in time, you may embrace a skill which may help you later on. We all acknowledge that the economy of this world is crazy, and at times you do not have the job you require. But with skills, you can still do something and put food on your table. This age is a delicate timing. Be patient, learn to trust in God, learn to listen to instructions. It may sound a little like it's curbing your freedom, but you realize there is the freedom of dependency and there's the freedom of independency. Please don't want to have the freedom of independence at this point in time. Have freedom of dependence, whereas you can depend on the structures of the system, because by so doing, they save you from so many negative influence that will render you useless at the end of the road. So kindly, at this point in time, despite the challenges in school, there is a ration on food. You're used to eating, your appetite at this level is very high. There is a bit of bullying. You need to be a little conscious on know how to respond to this. There is a lot of influence in terms of drugs. You need to be conscious and know it's a little dangerous to get into these things. Remember, your body is a temple of God. You need to be careful on what you take. At this point in time, you are identifying even your energy, and there is a lot of spotting. You need to identify what you can do, then how you can vent your extra energy. There's a lot of relationship equally at this point in time. And you realize this is a place where now young people begin discovering themselves. They want to have girlfriends, boyfriends. You need to be a little careful, for you do not really provoke love at an untimely stage. At this point in time, you do not understand the difference between love and infatuation. So consciously remain focused on study. And beside just books, I want to counsel you to trust in God. Because our systems of education at times with all books may sound abuse to intelligence. That's why at times we have students with the A's, but they cannot fit in a society. So beside pursuing an A, be an all-round student. Have some life skills. Embrace some core curricular activities. And this is why we have a powerful counsels on education, especially from the Adventist system, that you need to embrace a holistic approach to education. And remember, even as you walk out of high school, it is not the end of education. Challenge will always come. Challenge will always come at every level of education. But remember, challenge motivates thinking and responding. And if your base and your foundation is good, behold, you'll get it right. Education is key. Please pursue education. Don't give up. At times you're tempted to quit. Don't give up. With good social system support, I want to believe you will make it. Thank you so much, young people. Continue interacting. This kind of sharing will help you to grow, will help you to identify your strength and weakness, and by so doing, you will grow from one level to another, hence even sharpening your life skills as you bump into the life out here. Thank you so much, and God bless you.
Thank you very much for being with us through this whole episode, through this show. Thank you for interacting with us on our social media platforms. If you missed, here's our handles on Facebook is Hope Channel Kenya on Facebook. On Twitter is @Hope_Kenya. Of course, you can follow me on Facebook, Samuel Mangi, and on Twitter @Sami Mangi. Share your views and comments of what you think about this show. Questions, please, inakaribishwa. We'll handle them with the wisdom that are going to be given and how the Spirit is going to lead us. Now, I will thank you. Thank you for coming for the show. I am very sorry for forgetting this. Thank you for coming.
You're welcome.
Thank you for your sentiments and your shares. Now, I want to remind you this. What we are saying here is not Bible truth. Huh? These are our opinions. So please, let's go study, find more truth. Start with the Word of God. Then, as the Bible says, seek thee first the kingdom of God, and all shall be added unto you. I would like to finish by this amazing quote that I read from somewhere that I will choose not to tell you, but I leave it to you. It says, if you don't build your dream, somebody will hire you to build theirs. If you don't build your dream, somebody else will hire you to build theirs. Till next Saturday, stay blessed.